come up here. This is our Latissimus Dorsi, and it's going to attach on this medial aspect of the arm. And then up here, so on the dorsal side of the more proximal side of the limb, you have your trapezius, you have your thoracic part, and your cervical part. They attach by an aponeurosis. It's over on this side, and then you have your rhomboideus muscles. So you have your capital part, your head, and then your cervical part right here, and then the thoracic part. It's a little bit thicker back here, and those pieces are right here. That is more medial to the trapezius. Then you have on the skin, you have your Platysma right here, which is the cutaneous muscle of the neck. And then on the arm, and it's a little bit mangled right now, but we have our deep pectoral muscle, and then we have our superficial pectoral muscles. So we have this smaller one is the descending portion of your superficial pectoral, and that is the more ventral or superficial, and then the deeper muscle is your transverse pectoral. Then on the cranial aspect of the limb, you have this is the Platysma right here.
Yeah.
And then, so this is our, out of the way. So this is our Coracobrachialis, so part of the Brachiocephalicus muscle, and it's going to attach. Here's your clavicular tendon up here. You can come watch if you want. You're fine. And then it's going to attach here, and then
yeah, it's
here. So this is your cervical part of your Clitocephalicus, and this is your mastoid part of your Clitocephalicus. So it's going to come up here and attach on your mastoid process. Then medial to that, and then so on the shoulder, Omotransversarius, it comes up and it's shoulder transversarius, your transverse processes, specifically of your atlas, your first cervical vertebrae. So it's going to come up here. It's a little more, it's medial to the mastoid part of your Clitocephalicus. And then here are your Sternocephalicus muscles, your mastoid part. This is the mastoid part. Is a little bit more ventral, and then your occipital part is going to go up to your occipital, I believe maybe the nuchal crest of the occipital bone. And then on the ventral surface you have, and you're going to have to check these, but this is the Sternohyoideus and Sternothyroideus down here, but again you're going to have to check. I don't remember which ones those are, which one is which. But here's two of them, and then the more lateral aspect are the other two. So then moving on to the legs, so your Latissimus Dorsi. So there's one other extrinsic muscle you see here. There's a little bit of kind of deep, like really thick fascial tissue. That is from the serrated face of the scapula right here. So that was part of the Serratus Ventralis. So you have your cervical part right here, and then you see this part that's coming back towards a little bit, sweeping a little more caudally, is your thoracic part. And on the inside, you see the serrated face right here. This is where your rhomboideus was. So then on here, so yesterday what we did was, so here, this is the acromial belly of your deltoideus. This is the scapular head of your deltoideus. So we transected that a little below the acromion, which you can kind of feel right here. And we reflected that. Both of those you can feel and see there's a little bit of exposed bone right there. So both of these bellies would have fused, and they are inserting at the deltoid tuberosity, which you can feel, and you can feel the tricipital line as well. And then, so we reflected those. You can feel the spine here. This is the infraspinatus, so inserting, or it's originating on the infraspinous fossa, and it's very connected to this aponeurosis of the deltoideus. But we cut that and reflected it so that you can see this bursa right here, this subtendinous bursa. And then right just caudal to your infraspinatus, you have your Teres Minor muscle. So it's originating on this, on your infraglenoid tubercle and your caudal border of your scapula, and it's inserting on your deltoid tuberosity. So we have our new Teres Minor tuberosity. So we have our deltoid tuberosity, and if you kind of follow it up, there's the Teres Minor tuberosity. So you can feel this little bump right there. That is the Teres Minor tuberosity where that's inserting. We then transected, we looked at the supraspinatus, so in the supraspinous fossa, and it kind of looks like it has two bellies. So it has this one, and then it has one that kind of a little more lateral, and then it has kind of a more cranial one that kind of wraps around. I did kind of separate it here so you can actually see the cranial border of your scapula. And then you can see both the bellies, they are the same muscle, and you can see this really thick tendon right here that's a little bit of a triangle. That is attaching on the greater tubercle. So here's our deltoid tuberosity, and there's kind of the crest of the greater tubercle. Then flipped this over to look at them.
What, this is the medial side?
This is the medial aspect now. So here's our serrated face just to orient you, and our deep pectoral muscle here. So this is our subscapularis muscle, has all these kind of individual bellies, and it is going to attach on our lesser tubercle. It's going to kind of, you can't really see it, but you can kind of see the start of the tendon here. You can see where the muscle ends and the tendon begins. And then when we did that, we exposed this Coracobrachialis, which is going to attach to the originate at the coracoid process and insert on find it. So it's going to insert on this. So here is our Teres Major tuberosity. It's going to, which I'll show you in a minute, it's going to attach a little bit caudal to that. But here's the tendon that is running from the Coracobrachialis to the coracoid process of the scapula. So this medial protrusion of the supraglenoid tubercle. And we then looked at we transected the Teres Major. So it's kind of, here's your supraspinatus, your subscapularis, your Teres Major. It's coming down. Here's your Latissimus Dorsi. So the Latissimus Dorsi inserts on this tendon of the Teres Major, and you can see that right here. And it's going to run and insert on this Teres Major tuberosity. So you can kind of feel there is a little bit of a bump right there on that Teres Major tuberosity. Then reflected that kind of a little bit, and you can see, so this is the Latissimus Dorsi oriented correctly, kind of untransected. And here is our Tensor Fasciae Antebrachii. So it's a very thin sheet-like muscle that's on the caudal lies on the caudal aspect of this long head of the triceps. And you can kind of see there's an aponeurosis here. I believe we then came around and we worked on the triceps muscles. So here's the triceps muscle, our long head, and our lateral head. And it kind of looks like this could be the start of the lateral head right here, but if you ever get confused, there are these blood vessels that you know are in this groove of the lateral head and the long head. So we cut the aponeurosis of this lateral head that's inserting on this tricipital line. So find your deltoid tuberosity. Tricipital line is right there as well. So those are this is your acromial part of your deltoideus inserting, and it's right behind there. And then so we reflected that. You can now see, have not cleaned this very well. This is where group A will start now, but this is the Anconeus muscle. You can kind of see the fibers running a little bit from cranial to caudal at kind of an oblique angle. And then here you see your accessory head of your triceps brachii. So lateral and your accessory. One thing they had us do, so here's the long head. We separated it from the accessory head and the lateral head, this tendon. They do all join together to insert on the olecranon, but if you pull this back, there is kind of a little gap right there, a little hole, and that is the Subtendinous Bursa. And on this side of the tendon, the more caudal side, would be acute subcutaneous bursa, be just under the skin. So then if you kind of pull back this accessory head, you can see the medial head of the triceps underneath it. And if you flip this back to looking at the medial aspect, see our Coracobrachialis, you can see our long head of our triceps. And then you see this medial head, pull it back. Here's your your accessory head. So medial, accessory, lateral, long head. And those are originating this medial head is originating just behind the Teres Major tuberosity. So you'd have your Teres Major inserting, then your medial head of your triceps brachii, and then your Coracobrachialis. And I believe that is all that we've gotten through.